I am Gachutha, a counseling psychologist. I love telling stories. I remember moments I have called counselors to the bonfire so that we can tell our sweet stories, the stories of our own profession, the stories of growing counseling and psychology in this, our country. And I remember those moments of long ago. That was in the 80s, late 80s, and even during 90s. KCPA, and then it was called Kenya Counseling Association, was started in 1988. And in 1990, it was registered. I remember Professor Emi Geshinga was the chair for the longest. She held the organization dearly and helped us to grow counseling and psychology in this country. Around Emi Geshinga were the likes of the director of KAPC, Mr. Arias Gikundi, the incumbent of KCPA now. There was Cecilia Rachel, there was Mike Morone, there was Mrs. Erica Bithi, people who believed in this profession. And they wanted to take this profession very far, and they wanted to ingrain and mainstream counseling and psychology in this country. And the office of KCA then was at Emi's house. We didn't have money to hire or to lend an office. And therefore we made do with Professor Emi Geshinga's office, which was set up in her house. We thank God for her. She's now long gone, but she put the beacons and the foundations of counseling and psychology in this country. We salute her and we celebrate her posthumously. Emi left KCPA as the chair and left it to Alfred Kibuja. That was in the year 2007. And Alfred Kibuja held the chairmanship until the year 2009. In 2009, I took over the chairmanship of KCA, then up to 2012. And we did a lot during that period of time. I remember bringing together the counseling institutions like Amani, like KAPC, KIPCO, East Africa, so that we can be able to build the association through curricular development. And with an MOU that we had with Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, and then the director during that time was Dr. Nzomo, we started now developing curricula at the diploma level, and we did it. It was a modular diploma, Module 1, Module 2, and 3, and then Module 3, an area of specialization, whether that was disaster and trauma or spiritual counseling or HIV in clinical and community settings or marriage and family therapy or addictions counseling or a program that Professor Karega really wanted to see being implemented, that is counseling in learning institutions and child and adolescent counseling. We also did a post-diploma certificate on counselor supervision. We were happy coming together, coalescing together so that we can grow the profession through development of curricula. But I also remember during my term that we partnered together with the Ministry of Public Service, the counseling department, so that we can start now developing the legislation for counseling and psychology. And I would want to salute Mrs. Grace Wanjiko. Grace Wanjiko Joseph, who is now the Director of Counseling Services within government, did a lot to make sure that we were going to come up with a scheme of service for counselors, and also we paired up or we partnered together so that we can make sure we develop the counselors and psychologists bill. Even if we were not legal minds, we did it in our own way, and over time we were able to bring people like Julius Onyango, people like Dr. James Githongo, so that they can help us to be able to shape this bill. And I remember when we went to Kilimabogo, so that we can have a retreat for us to start developing that counselors and psychologists bill, for it to start having a shape. I remember we developed a policy for operationalization for KCPA, and also developed a policy for standards, ethics, and accreditation committee. It is still the one that is used to today, and it was sponsored, and we really appreciate all that came in so that they can sponsor that particular policy. We also developed the code of ethics for counseling, for counselors and psychologists. And again, that code of ethics for counselors and psychologists is the one that gets used up to today. After me came Dr. James Githongo. That was in 2012. And he was able to take leadership for a period of 7 years. We needed him during that time because we were continuing now to develop curricula not with KICD, but now with TVET CDAC. CDAC meaning Curriculum Development Assessment and Certification Council of TVET. These were competency-based curricula. And again, we came together. He made us to come together. The different training institutions like KIPCO, KAPC, Amani, IPCC, I remember Dr. Susan Getao, and even Mrs. Jane Gatia of East Africa, all of us, even Dr. Nthiga of Eden, we came together so that we can develop the curricula, and many others that I may not be able to mention in this particular video. And still, with the leadership of James Githongo, we were able to do much more in regard to pushing the counselors and psychologists bill to become an act. And it was signed into law by the president in 2014. Come 2019, and then we had Mr. Elias Gekundi. And Gekundi has been at the helm of Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association for the period of time 2019 to 2022 to today. And we really appreciate that he has been holding fort for us in the association. And now we are getting into another dispensation when we need another leadership. I, Catherine Gachutha, Elias Gekundi, and Dr. Susan Getao are vying for the chairmanship of the association. We are all very strong people in regard to the accumulated experience we have had, and even our certifications that we have. And this time loud, it is going to be let the best person win. I'm urging you, members, that you can elect me and you never be disappointed. I'm a very caring, very determined, goal-oriented individual. I am a go-getter. I'm a very compassionate person who is very inclusive, and I involve people so that we can be able to attain our milestones. Just know you're going to be included. You matter. You may be in college today. You may be in the university. You may be out there working, freelancing. You may be having your own institution, but you're going to be included. Because you see, KCPA, it has different departments that can accommodate each one of us so that we can be able to take this great association to another level. I want to put fire again. I want to put vibrancy again to the association. And I want to take the association to the other level of growth and development. We want to see counseling at the grassroots level, at the household level, at the family level. We want to see counseling in the churches, in our religious institutions. We want to see counseling even in state and non-state institutions. The mental health of our people in this country that is getting challenged with time, and we have a very high preference of mental illnesses in our country. The Counseling Association is going to make a difference, and I at the helm will make sure that we are going to come up with products that are going to make a difference. Thank you so much, even as you prepare to elect me in that position. The Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, the Lord expand your borders even as you continue in this life.